There are moments in life when pain feels overwhelming, whether it's the sting of rejection, the ache of loss, the weight of disappointment, or the fatigue of pushing through trials. Pain has a way of making us want to stop. It whispers that it's too much, that we're not strong enough, that we've lost more than we've gained. But pain is not the end of your story. It's often the evidence that progress is happening beneath the surface. Growth rarely feels good in the moment, but it always leads to something greater if we don't give up. When you plant a seed, nothing happens overnight. You water it, care for it, and trust that something is taking root. But in those early days, it can feel like all your effort is invisible. Life is the same. During our darkest seasons, we often think we're standing still or even going backward. But what you can't always see is how much stronger you're becoming on the inside. Every tear you cry, every time you choose to keep going when quitting feels easier, you are building endurance, character, and strength that will carry you into your future. Pain is often misunderstood. It shows up uninvited, catches us off guard, and immediately signals that something is wrong. But not all pain is a sign of failure or weakness. In many cases, pain is a direct indication that growth is occurring. Just like a muscle has to be torn slightly during a workout to grow stronger, our spirit and character go through a similar tearing process when we face challenges in life. Pain is not always a punishment. It can be a part of preparation. When life stretches us beyond our comfort zones, we feel pain in many forms. Emotional pain from betrayal, mental pain from failure, or spiritual pain from waiting too long for a breakthrough. All of it has the power to shape us if we allow it. Too often, people try to numb the pain or run from it, thinking that something must be wrong because life hurts. But in reality, the discomfort might be a sign that something better is being birthed within. You can't become who you're meant to be without leaving behind who you used to be, and that shedding process is rarely painless. In seasons of growth, we are often tested. The situations that challenge us the most are usually the ones that develop our endurance, deepen our faith, and strengthen our purpose. When you're walking through the fire, it may feel unbearable, but fire refines gold. The very heat you're feeling could be what burns away the insecurity, the fear, the self-doubt. You may not like how it feels, but you'll love who you become on the other side. Think about how trees grow. In droughts, when the rain doesn't fall and the surface is dry, the roots are forced to go deeper in search of water. That struggle makes the tree more stable and resilient. Life does the same with us. During painful seasons, when nothing seems to go our way, our inner roots are being forced to dig deeper into faith, into discipline, into perseverance. The pain compels us to build a foundation that comfort never could. It's important to reframe how you see pain. Rather than viewing it as a barrier, begin seeing it as a bridge. The pain you feel in this moment could be the very force pushing you closer to your destiny. Maybe that disappointment isn't to destroy your hope, but to direct you to something greater. Maybe that closed door isn't rejection, it's redirection. When you shift your thinking, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this growing in me?" Some of the most powerful people you'll ever meet are not the ones who had an easy road. They're the ones who were broken, but refused to quit. They learned to use their pain not as an excuse, but as fuel. They allowed it to deepen their compassion, to strengthen their resolve, and to sharpen their focus. Pain gave them clarity on what really mattered. It taught them lessons that comfort could never offer. So when you're walking through something difficult, don't immediately assume that you're failing or falling behind. Consider that you might be in the middle of transformation. The fact that it hurts could mean something is shifting inside of you. You're not the same person you were yesterday, and the pain is part of the process that's shaping the stronger, wiser, and more refined version of you. There's a part of progress that no one celebrates because it can't be seen. It's the inner work, the quiet transformation, the healing that happens behind the scenes. Just because you can't point to something visible doesn't mean you're not moving forward. In fact, some of the most important breakthroughs happen in silence, in solitude, in struggle. When you're in a season where nothing looks like it's changing, it's easy to get discouraged, but what you feel as stillness may actually be preparation. Progress doesn't always come with fanfare. There won't always be applause, recognition, or validation. Sometimes growth looks like staying calm in a moment that used to make you anxious. Sometimes it's biting your tongue when you would have reacted before. Sometimes it's showing up, doing the work, staying in the fight even when it seems like no one notices. That's real transformation. That's the kind of growth that builds a life from the inside out. Think of a caterpillar in a cocoon. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening, but inside, everything is changing. A complete metamorphosis is underway. Wings are forming, colors are developing, strength is building. If someone were to cut the cocoon open too early, thinking they were helping, they would actually stop the butterfly from forming. It's the struggle in the dark that prepares the wings to fly. The same principle applies to our lives. When nothing seems to be happening, often that's when everything is happening. During these invisible seasons, your faith is being refined. Your mindset is shifting. Your values are being reshaped. You're learning how to lean on God, not your own understanding. You're growing in trust, in patience, in resilience. None of that can be captured in a photo or measured with numbers, but it matters. It's foundational. It's the part of your story that equips you to handle the visible blessings that will eventually come. In today's world, we're trained to chase outcomes. We want results we can show, post, and count. But some of the most meaningful progress is spiritual and emotional. Healing from trauma, learning to forgive, becoming more disciplined, developing consistency. These shifts can't be captured in a before and after picture, but they are the roots of a lasting change. If you're not careful, you'll overlook what's working because it doesn't look flashy. There's a strength that forms in silence. When you've cried in private but still chose to smile in public, that's strength. When you've battled doubt and fear alone but still kept taking steps forward, that's power. When no one knows the weight you're carrying but you still show up for others, that's growth. The invisible changes are often the ones that shift everything. They just take time to rise to the surface. Every breakthrough begins underground. Seeds don't sprout immediately. Dreams don't flourish overnight. Purpose isn't born in comfort, and you can't always measure progress by what's happening around you. Sometimes you have to measure it by what's happening within you. Are you more patient than you were a year ago? More grounded in your identity? Less reactive? These are signs of change. You don't need proof to keep believing. You don't need visible signs to know something is shifting. Keep showing up. Keep doing the quiet work. Keep praying, healing, growing. What's happening now is real, even if no one can see it yet. Just because the change isn't visible doesn't mean it's not transformational. The deeper the foundation, the stronger the future. Pain demands attention. It speaks loudly in our minds and hearts, often drowning out everything else. When something hurts, emotionally, mentally, physically, it becomes easy to let it consume all our focus. The disappointment, the betrayal, the loss, the failure, these things feel heavy and immediate, but if we fixate only on what hurts, we risk missing what's healing. We overlook the strength being built in silence and the lessons growing beneath the surface. Pain is real, but it doesn't deserve to dominate your perspective. There's always something developing, even in your most difficult seasons. When you focus solely on the pain, your vision becomes clouded. You start to believe the lie that things will never get better, that nothing is changing, that the weight will never lift. But when you choose to shift your focus to the progress, even if it's small, your whole mindset changes. You may not be where you want to be yet, but you're not where you used to be either. That matters. Every step, no matter how tiny, is still movement forward. When pain becomes the center of attention, it can blind you to your resilience. You forget how strong you've become, how many battles you've already faced, how much wisdom you've gained through experience. The hurt might be loud, but the healing is steady. Every time you show up despite feeling broken, that's progress. Every moment you resist the urge to give up, you grow stronger, and even if you cry while walking, you're still moving forward. It takes intention to redirect your focus. Pain wants to hold your gaze. It reminds you of what went wrong, what you lost, what you wish hadn't happened. But you have a choice: to keep staring at the wound or to start noticing the healing. That healing may not be obvious at first. Maybe you're still waking up with heaviness, but it doesn't last as long. Maybe the tears still come, but less frequently. Maybe you still remember the hurt, but it no longer defines your every thought. That's progress. Pain is like a storm, loud, chaotic, and disorienting, but storms pass, and when they do, the air is clearer, the ground more fertile. Sometimes the pain clears away what we didn't realize was holding us back. It exposes what we've been ignoring and opens the door for something new. When you focus on the pain, it feels permanent. When you focus on the progress, you realize this is temporary. You're passing through, not settling in your suffering. Focusing on progress doesn't mean ignoring pain. It means refusing to let it control your narrative. It means acknowledging your struggle without letting it define your identity. You are more than your worst day, more than your darkest thoughts, more than your greatest heartbreak. You're someone who is still growing, still becoming, still believing, even through the pain. If you look closely, you'll see signs of growth all around you. Maybe you responded with grace when anger would have been your old reaction. Maybe you stepped out in faith when fear told you to stay hidden. Maybe you finally let go of something that was holding you back. These things matter. They are signs of transformation, but you won't see them if all you look at is the pain. Redirecting your focus is a daily choice. Some days it's a moment-by-moment discipline. When the hurt rises up, gently remind yourself of how far you've come. Remind yourself that healing is not always loud, not always dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle, like strength growing in silence. You don't have to pretend the pain isn't there. Just don't give it the spotlight. Give that place to the progress, no matter how small, because that's where hope lies. Life doesn't always make sense while you're in the middle of it. The struggle, the disappointment, the unanswered prayers, these moments can feel like setbacks, like things are falling apart without reason. But there's a deeper truth at work. Nothing is wasted with God. Every experience, even the painful ones, is being used to shape you into who you are meant to become. What looks like chaos to you can be part of a bigger plan you can't yet see. When you begin to believe that everything is working for your good, it changes how you face hard seasons. God doesn't promise that we'll avoid difficulty, but He does promise that He'll walk with us through it. The trials you face, the delays you didn't expect, and the doors that closed were not accidents. They are ingredients in the greater purpose being formed in your life. Sometimes God allows pressure because He's trying to produce something inside of you: faith, strength, humility, compassion. And sometimes the very thing you're praying for deliverance from is the thing He's using to develop you. It's easy to praise when everything is going well, but real growth happens in the valley. It's in the waiting, the wondering, the wrestling that your character is forged. When you face adversity and still choose to believe, that's when faith becomes real. When you lose what you thought you couldn't live without and yet find peace again, that's when trust deepens. God isn't only in the breakthrough, He's in the process. He's in the stretching, the pruning, the quiet moments when you feel alone, and He's using every moment, even the hardest ones, for your ultimate good. Consider how a puzzle comes together. At first, the pieces don't seem to fit. There are jagged edges, mismatched colors, and missing gaps. But with patience and perspective, it starts to form a beautiful image. Life is the same. You may not understand how today's heartbreak fits into tomorrow's promise, but God sees the whole picture. He knows what you need now to be ready for what's next. What feels like loss might be preparation. What feels like rejection might be redirection. What feels like failure might be the setup for a greater testimony. Even the things meant to harm you can be turned for good. What the enemy intended to break you, God can use to bless you. The betrayal that shattered your heart can become the reason you learn how to set boundaries. The job you lost can push you toward a calling you would have never pursued otherwise. The heartbreak that brought you to your knees can lead you to a deeper dependence on God. None of it is wasted. Sometimes the lesson is in what didn't happen. You prayed for the door to open, but it stayed closed. Later, you realized that door would have led to something you weren't ready for, or something that wasn't meant for you at all. God's no is not rejection, it's protection. He sees the future, He sees the traps, He sees what would derail your destiny. Trusting His plan means believing that even the pain serves a purpose. It takes faith to believe that something good can come from something so hard. But faith isn't about understanding everything. It's about trusting even when you don't. It's believing that somehow, someway, all of this is not random. There's a process in motion. The pain is temporary, but what it's producing in you is eternal. Every delay, every closed door, every painful lesson is forming something valuable. You may not see it now, but God is working behind the scenes. He specializes in turning struggles into strength and loss into legacy. You said, explain keynote 5 in 600 word without heading and conclusion and ending words. ChatGPT said, strength isn't always loud or visible. It doesn't always look like bold declarations or fearless actions. Sometimes strength is quiet. It's waking up to face a day you don't feel prepared for, showing up when you'd rather hide, continuing to love after being hurt. Strength is often found in the moments that no one sees, the battles you fight internally, the tears you wipe away before stepping into a room with a smile. When life weighs heavily on your shoulders and you choose to keep going anyway, that is strength in its purest form. You are stronger than you think because you've survived days you thought would break you. You've faced losses that could have shattered your faith, endured seasons of confusion, silence, and pain, and yet you're still here, still breathing, still believing. That kind of strength isn't taught. It's forged through adversity. It's built in the fire of trials, in the silence of unanswered prayers, and in the persistence to keep trusting when nothing makes sense. That strength may not always feel like victory, but it's what anchors you in storms and lifts you through the darkest valleys. Sometimes people underestimate their own resilience because they're measuring it against perfection. You may not feel strong because you cried, because you doubted, because you had moments of weakness. But strength isn't the absence of emotion. It's the presence of perseverance. It's choosing to move forward even when you're scared, to keep loving even when you're hurting, and to keep hoping even when it looks hopeless. Every time you refuse to quit, even in silence, you exercise strength. Pain has a way of disguising progress. It tells you that because you still hurt, you haven't healed, but healing isn't linear. It's layered and complex. There are days you'll feel whole and days you'll feel broken, but strength is found in showing up through all of it. Just because the process is messy doesn't mean it's not working. Sometimes strength looks like sitting in your emotions without letting them control your decisions. It's learning how to feel deeply and still move forward intentionally. Your strength is also revealed in how you lift others while carrying your own burdens. Maybe you've encouraged friends while silently struggling. Maybe you've made others laugh while hiding your own tears. That kind of quiet strength is not just admirable, it's powerful. It speaks of deep inner capacity, of a heart that hasn't hardened, and of a soul that refuses to quit, no matter how heavy the load. Growth often happens without applause. No one sees the hours you spend praying, the nights you lie awake trying to understand, the mornings you get out of bed despite the heaviness in your chest. But those moments matter. They are where strength is tested and formed. You may not get credit for them from the world, but you are building a foundation of character and courage that nothing can take away. When life challenges you, it's not trying to prove how weak you are. It's an opportunity to discover how strong you've already become. You've made it through things that others don't even know about. You've risen from places people never saw you fall. You've rebuilt after breakdowns, restarted after rejections, and kept moving when everything inside you wanted to stop. That's not weakness, that's extraordinary strength. You may not always feel strong, but the evidence is in your persistence. The fact that you're still standing, still trying, still growing, it all points to the truth. You are stronger than you think, not because you've never struggled, but because you refused to stay down when you did. That quiet resolve, that determination to keep going, is proof of the strength you carry every day. Progress often shows up disguised as small steps, quiet efforts, and daily decisions that don't look like much from the outside. In a culture that celebrates big wins and overnight success, it's easy to feel like you're not moving forward fast enough. But the truth is, real change happens gradually. It's built in the unnoticed hours, in the consistent choices, in the moments you choose discipline over distraction and purpose over comfort. The journey to becoming who you're meant to be is not a sprint, it's a process. And the key to lasting progress is consistency. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you'll never mess up or face setbacks. It simply means showing up again. It's about returning to your vision even after you've drifted. Choosing to keep working toward your healing, your purpose, your growth, especially when it feels slow or difficult, is what builds long-term success. The progress you crave isn't always in the big breakthrough moments. More often, it's in the thousand small decisions you make when no one's watching. There are days you won't feel motivated, days when doubt speaks louder than faith, when fatigue outweighs vision, when progress feels invisible. That's when consistency matters most. Motivation is emotional and unreliable, but consistency is intentional. It says, I may not feel it today, but I'm still committed. That kind of resolve produces results, not just in outcomes, but in who you become along the way. You're shaping habits, training your mind, and building a foundation that doesn't depend on feelings. In difficult seasons, consistency becomes a form of resistance. It's a way of declaring that your circumstances don't define your commitment. Even when the breakthrough hasn't arrived, even when the results aren't visible, even when life feels uncertain, choosing to stay the course is a powerful act of faith. It's saying, I believe something good is happening, even if I can't see it yet. That kind of belief, repeated day after day, creates unstoppable momentum. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to keep doing the right things, even in small ways. Reading the book, making the call, taking care of your body, protecting your peace. These acts, done consistently, lead to transformation. You may not see a difference right away, but over time, the compounding effect of these decisions becomes undeniable. It's not about what you do once, it's about what you do consistently. Think of a river cutting through rock. It's not the force of a single flood that shapes the landscape, it's the persistent flow over time. Your actions, your effort, your discipline, they are slowly reshaping your future. And just like water wears down stone, your consistency will break through resistance, excuses, and fear. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you reinforce your identity as someone who doesn't quit. The enemy of progress is often impatience. It whispers, "This is taking too long. You should be further by now." But impatience makes you question the process and abandon your progress. Consistency, on the other hand, reminds you that every step is part of the journey. It grounds you in purpose, helping you build momentum even on days when you don't feel inspired. When you stay consistent, you stay aligned with your future. Even when no one else is cheering for you, be the one who keeps showing up. Be the one who refuses to give up on the vision. The rewards of consistency often come after seasons of silence. Just because the results aren't immediate doesn't mean the process isn't working. Stay the course, show up again, keep planting seeds. The harvest will come, not because you did everything perfectly, but because you refused to quit.